Okay, my bad. I forgot that I had the Civitai website open in the background.
GG.
GG. Okay, we are good, guys. Welcome to office hours and our AI video and animation stream. We are new to this. We are still working out some kinks with cross streaming on Discord and Twitch, but we're good now. We're good now. We just got too many windows open, but we're good. So, yeah, Discord crew, thank you guys all for coming. And I think I got something really cool here that I don't see done a lot that I would like to show you guys and share with you a bit of the process. And then we can see how Animate Diff actually handles it. I'm going to be using an updated version of my workflow. I haven't really changed too much, and I will be releasing this on Civitai, but I've made quite a few quality of life changes in the Comfy workflow. So for anyone who has not used this or who hasn't seen this workflow and everything I'm going to be doing is available on Civitai.com. If you go to my profile, JBoogs Creative. So with that being said, let me show you guys the video that we're going to be working on here today. And I love when you guys interact and talk to me, so don't let me ramble on too long by myself. This is from a really dope guy on Instagram named Civitai. And he makes these really cool videos where he uses these modulators or these little musical things, but he makes these graphics himself with generative code, and they interact with the music as he's playing it. So check this out real quick. I think this is super, super cool. Now,
is that a stream deck?
What was that?
I said, is that a stream deck?
That is most definitely not a stream deck. I have no idea what it is. If I zoom in here, it looks like the name on it says Syntax. But in all of his videos, he has like a different one of these really cool things that he's using to control the music that's linked up to the monitor, where he has this code that he created plugged into it, and what he's doing with the music he's playing on it, the code is reacting to it and creating these like really wild generative animations. For some people, it might look like a little too much, but I really think this stuff is cool. I did a video of one of these in Warp Fusion months ago and got a really good response on it. And at the time, a bunch of people couldn't figure out how I got Warp to be audio reactive. So my trick worked, but I'm about to show you guys what the trick was because it's really nothing amazing. And for some of you, this is going to make complete sense. So what we're doing today is we are taking this video and we are simply cropping it in, which I've already prepared this already. And then we are masking out the screen and then turning off everything beneath the mask layer. So because there is so much going on in this animation, we don't know if this will work better with black and white, so it's a little bit more akin to like a depth mask, or if it's better for us to use the color version. What do you guys think would work better in Animate Diff and Comfy with the control nets that we have available to us? You think the black and white, or you think the color?
Color.
You think the color? All right, well, this is why we do A/B test, and we're going to try both. So I'm going to hop over to the PC here. For the sake of this test, this is a video that I just finished last night that super stoked on. a new control net came out in the past couple days for Anime Diff, and we are going to see how this control net works and operates with the craziness that is this input video. So before we get started on everything, I'm going to go ahead and run through the workflow for anyone that isn't familiar. I'm going to show you guys what I changed, and we're going to talk through exactly what's happening in the pipeline here. So, and this is going to be the updated one that I upload to Civitai because I made a lot of quality of life improvements. I haven't changed anything fundamentally about how the workflow works, but just making it nicer to be in and live in and use. So in the 1A box right here, where they all have numbers if you look at them, we have our low-res inputs. This is where you're going to go ahead and select the video you want to test out. Haro thinks the colored one will work best, so we're going to try the colored one first. We have our low... What was that?
I said I'm positive it'll work best.
Positive. Okay, he's positive the color one's going to work best. So we're going to try both of them, and we're going to compare, and we're going to see exactly how strong Anime Diff can be. So we have our low-res resolution, which for me, I prefer 512 by 896. That then flows down into, well, it could flow up or down, but let's just go down because that's how I have it numbered. It flows down into number 2, which is our prompt. We have our batch prompt scheduler. So this is where you are going to put your main prompt and/or your prompt traveling. So if you want your prompt to morph in the video over time, this is where we do that. The syntax you have to use in this box is extremely important. This is how you write the stuff in here. Not telling you how to write the prompt, but just the way it's written. So the parentheses, the number is the frame number of the video. So if this is a 500 frame video, we're saying that on frame 0, this is the prompt it's going to be reading. On frame 442, this is the prompt it's going to be reading. Now, if you have one prompt at frame 0 and another prompt at, let's say, frame 100, then the way this is written, it means that between frame 0 and frame 100, there's going to be a bit of easing between the prompts. So the prompt will like transition over all those in-between frames into the next prompt. If we did something like this, where we added another one, and I know these all say the same thing, but just play along with me. We'll get to prompting in a few minutes. If we have it written like this, where it goes from 0 to 100, but those are the same prompts, and then on frame 101, we change one thing in the prompt, or we just change the prompt altogether. In that one frame difference from frame 100 to frame 101, you're going to get like a hard prompt switch, and everything is just going to change immediately. And sometimes that's what you want, because sometimes if you are following the music of a video, that's more ideal than the slow switch over time. Because now if we go into something like Premiere, well, in Premiere, you can right click your time code right here and change that to frames. And so you can see exactly what frame number is on what part of the video. So if there's a beat drop or something where like you want the prompt to just boom and switch because it makes sense with the music, well, that is how we would do that here. Because now from frame 100 to frame 101, you're getting an instant prompt switch instead of a prompt switch over 100 frames. Did that make sense to to everyone, or was that helpful at all?
Does it
Yeah.
make a difference if you say if you wanted to do 0 to 50 frames to 100 frames, or is doing it with less frames in between gonna make it worse?
I think that really hinges entirely on how long your total video is. And also like what you intend on doing with it audio wise. For a video that's like 500 frames, I think 50 frame like prompt switches every 50 to every 100 are good. If you're doing a video that's only 100 frames, then maybe you want the prompt to switch every, only every 25 frames, and you have 4 prompt switches over the course of the whole video. So I think what really determines that for me is the overall length of the video. Because if the video is really long, then I like to I like to try to tell the story throughout the longer video, if that makes sense, and make the prompts like evolve over time like that. To answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, hold on 1 second. I was just alerted that the stream info was still about the Christmas thing, so it's okay. We're just gonna we're gonna live with that for today, because we're not gonna stop it and restart it. But Brick, thank you for bringing that to my attention. All right, so moving on from the batch prompt scheduler, in the boxes right next to it, we have the pretext and we have the app text. Now, the pretext, this is the part of your prompt that will come before everything in the green box. Okay? Everything in the app text is going to come after everything you have written in the green box. So you want to put all of your descriptors, HD, masterpiece, 4K, all that stuff in your before box and in your after box, and everything changing is going to go in your batch prompt scheduler. Important thing to note, at least for the way that I have my workflow built, if you only want to use one prompt in the entire video, you still need to have 2 keyframes in here, but I just duplicate the prompt and then it's all good. But if you don't have like 2 separate number times written, it like messes up and it's going to give you an error at some point. Now, we're going to come back down to this bottom section, but in box 3, we have our LoRa's. I have put 5 separate LoRa boxes in here. There are batch LoRa schedulers that's going to be one of the next things that I implement and that I change. And yeah, there's a lot you could play with in here. You can go through the whole laundry list of LoRa's and you can test things infinitely. To keep things simple for myself, I tend to keep the strength model and the strength clip values of these the same, because otherwise I just find that I get way too lost in the weeds with running 50 frame, 20 frame tests before I actually start to make anything. And anyone who plays with this stuff, you know what I mean. You can literally spend all day and all night testing the same 50 frames and not actually making a video. Now, this bottom part of the workflow, this is the IP adapter. And for Animate Diff, this is really some of the magic sauce. And this part of the whole thing, credit to my buddy Machine Delusions. You should check him out on the Civit website. He makes killer LoRa's. I usually have at least one of his LoRa's on all of my videos ever since I was doing Warp Fusion constantly. Like, the stuff he makes is insane. The stuff he's making in Animate Diff and Comfy UI, even more insane. He helped me put together the IP adapter down here. So what this is doing is you are able to feed it 2 reference images. You can basically use these reference images as a LoRa. Whatever the images are that you put in here, if you add weight to these in the apply IP adapter node up here, it's going to take the style in these images and try its hardest to inject that style onto your video and your generation. That being said, it's super easy for the strength of this thing to just get crazy and get out of control and overtake everything and make it like blah all over the place. So a lot of testing is needed with this. To keep things simple, if I am going to use it, I like using the same image and only changing the weight value and not even messing with the noise, just to keep it simple. If you put two images, you can weight up the value of one, and now it's going to take this image, and this will hold more weight than the image with the lower value in it. However, again, keeping it simple, I keep them both the same, values at 1. I really try to only change my weight value so I can actually get to making videos. The red box down here, forgot to mention, this is the negative prompt. So this is where all your negatives go, as well as your textural inversions and embeddings. For the past like month, I was just putting the name of the embedding or the textual inversion. So don't be like me. Use the syntax. There is some handy add-on that is somewhere in the Comfy Manager that if you just like type a letter, all your textual inversions and embeddings from your embedding folder will pop up and you can just add them that way, which is super helpful. Something that I have noticed a lot of people have been getting stuck on the website, these little collapsed IP adapter nodes right here. These are very specific. You want to download these models from the IP adapter plus GitHub, and you really like the load IP adapter model has to be the IP adapter plus 1.15 or XL, depending on what you're doing. And this one, the load clip vision, has to be this PyTorch _model.bin file that you can find on the IP adapter GitHub as well. If you do not have that in the load clip vision, which goes into your clip vision folder in your Comfy folder, you're going to error out and you're going to have a bad time because you're not going to know how to fix it. Any questions before moving on from the prompt and the batch prompt scheduler or the IP adapter? Boom, boom, boom.
I was wondering, is there a way that we would be able to get this same workflow up and running with Comfy UI, or do you have an in-depth tutorial anywhere on this? I know
You
there's
mean
tons online, but
dude, the workflow, this exact workflow, which okay, V1 of this workflow, which is just things are arranged a little differently, but it's like 95% the same. Okay. All the same nodes and everything are in there. I've just since segmented things in the groups a little bit better. It's on Civitai on my profile. You can go download it right now.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, if I know Warhol, I know you follow me on Instagram. If you go to the link tree in my bio, it's the first link in my link tree. It'll take you right there.
Thank you. I will use it right now.
Yes. Now, going up to our control nets. These used to all be in one big yellow box. We have since changed this. So now we have them all in individual boxes with their own control net stackers and their own annotator nodes. Or sorry, preprocessor nodes. All you have to do for the ones you want to use is right-click the group and click Set Group Nodes to Always, and it turns everything on. If you don't want to use them, then you right-click the group and you click Bypass Group Nodes. Super easy. You no longer have to go through and bypass every individual control net node that you don't want to use. These little guys right here that are not in a group, these are things that are always on. And what this is doing, so an issue I was having when I was first trying to get this going was I felt like my outputs weren't creative enough, or animate diff wasn't like doing enough of its magic. And a couple friends, Sir Spence and Dot Simulate, shout out to them, they helped me put together this little cluster right here, which is injecting more latent noise into your video to help allow it be a little bit more creative and fun. How much it's actually doing, I don't know. All I know is that since we put it in, I've been loving most everything that I have gotten. Now, rolling through, and just to touch on control nets real quick. There are certain combinations that will restrict the magic of everything more than others. Shout out to Inner Reflections for helping me figure out these combinations. Inner Reflections AI is actually who this whole workflow is like. This is built off of her base workflow from a really great article that she wrote on Civitai. So shout out to Inner Reflections. Line art and soft edge, they grab stuff so great, but they really take away a lot of the animation and a lot of the magic to let the AI really be creative and do its thing. Depth and open pose allow the AI to go like crazy and you get these super vibrant animations, but sometimes if the motion is like really complicated and people are turning around and the back of their heads are showing, open pose just isn't the greatest thing in the world for that. Then we have our K sampler. This is where you're going to input your steps, your CFG, your denoise. I tend to keep these pretty high because in animate diff, if you go too low, you're going to get really blurry, fuzzy, desaturated outputs, and no one wants that. And then everything beneath that is the upscaler. And for all purposes of this stream, we have these turned off because it takes too much time. I only turn on all these upscaler groups as well as the upscale input groups at the top when my tests are done. I've landed on a style I really like, and it is now time to run your final render. So, that being said, what do you guys think we should try to turn this into? What should the first 50 frames try to be? Just give me like a general theme of what you think would look cool playing on this screen as the music's going.
Food.
Food, okay. Okay. Okay, let's get a little bit more specific. Delicious bowls of ramen. Help me out with it.
Sushi. Spaghetti.
I
ice
see
cream
ketchup and
sundaes.
different sauces. Okay. I don't know. Are we really having ketchup with our ramen and sushi? Dad says yes. All right. If
Okay,
Dad says
good.
yes, and we're having it.
What about sriracha, maybe?
All right. Yeah, we're gonna change ketchup to sriracha. That at least that makes more sense. They're both red, and I think the AI will make them both look the same, anyways. And let's also put the ramen egg in there too. And let's just see what this does. I'm so curious just to see what it does. And we'll try it with both the color and with the black and white. So boom. So what do you guys think of this style right here before we generate that? What do you think of how this anime style looks? Like, are you guys a fan of the 80s, 90s anime type thing? because I tend to really gravitate towards the older animation and especially the older anime. I came across a grouping of photos that I really liked on Civit by this person. Her name was Isabelia, and when I went to her page, I noticed that on this retro anime Laura that she trained, she was using a model I'd never heard of, and so it was her model that she trained. So I figured, you know what? I bet she trained this Laura on her model. Let's test it out. I tried it last night, and this was the style that it gave me, and I really liked it. It really made me feel like the old school, like, cowboy bebop type thing. Yeah, the 80s are good with the blue noisy theme. They really are. I really like this. So, do you guys have a model you think we should try this bowl of ramen on? Anyone?
My favorite, Starlight.
Okay, I'm going to keep that in mind, but I have a pretty extensive list of models. I do not have that one. So, for the sake of not downloading a 6 GB model on stream.
Do you have the unstable diffusers?
The only problem is that this is 1.5. Unstable is SDXL, right?
Yeah.
Lyrial.
Yeah.
Lyrial.
Yeah,
Lyrial. Okay, let's try it. I haven't used that one in a while. That was the first model I used when I first started doing Warp Fusion.
I absolutely love it. It's so versatile. It does such a diverse range. It's so good.
All right, so you know what? Let's put add detail on at 0.5, and let's try that. For control nets. Sorry. So, this is in color. Do we want to use depth, or do we want to do, like, soft edge line art? I mean, it's kind of all over the place already, so maybe we just try depth and just see what it does. This control net right here that I'm using, this is the new one that came out for Anime Diff this week, called the Control GIF control net, I believe, or animated GIF. And whatever I have put this on, like this video, I wrestled with this video for days last week, and I thought I was just leaving it alone because I couldn't get a good output. I tried putting this new control net on it, and the image instantly got better than anything I had gotten prior. So I would recommend you guys go find that control net if you're running Animate Diff. I'm not sure if it's on Civit just yet, but it's on the creator's GitHub, which let me see if I can pull that up for you guys real quick. Boom, boom, let's see here. Sorry, bear with me, guys. It's okay, we're waiting for the video to generate anyways. GitHub control GIFs. So this is the GitHub. It's from Crystal Lee-AI, and it's called Control GIF. So if you guys aren't hip to this, just go ahead, download it, try it out in your Anime Diff. It does not need a preprocessor. So the way that works in this workflow, the way I have it built, because all of these control net boxes, they all have the control net, where you pick the control net from the list in your folder, a control net stacker, which leads it out into the application of the control net, and the preprocessor. This control net, just like the QR code control net, do not need preprocessors. However, they still need a preprocessor to be hooked up to this image part of the node to work. Like if nothing is hooked up to it, even if it's turned off, you're going to get an error and it's not going to apply the control net. So that's why I just have like any preprocessor here, and it's just bypassed for this particular control net, and in this box, which reminds me, we can edit this title and say QR monster / control GIF control net. So now I know in this box, we will just switch between this one and QR code monster, depending on what we're doing. Okay, we're almost done with this. Man, I'm a little disappointed that I haven't seen any AI Overlord Santa animate diffs pop up yet. I was trying to run a few today, but I don't have any that are like longer than 50 frames yet. But look at this. Look at this. This is not a Santa that you want to mess with. This is what my Christmas spirit looks like. So let's see what this bowl of ramen ends up looking like. While stuff is waiting to be generated, you guys are more than welcome to ask any questions about the workflow and whatnot, and I'll answer anything I can for you guys. Okay. Okay, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Let's see what happens when we use the black and white one.
What's up?
What's going on? So let's use the black and white one and see what's happening. We're going, Sergoyer, I'm going to ask you to turn your stream off, buddy.
Okay, I just wanna I make real-time render and just want show the people, you know. Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it. When we're not streaming live, I'm sure people would really like to see that and all that good stuff.
Okay, I just okay.
It's all good, man. It's all good. Thank you for cooperating.
Yeah,
Always
you
appreciate
understand
it.
me. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I understand you, bro.
Give me you guys can still see me, right? We're still good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yogurt, could you mute your mic?
All right. Animate the, let's see the Twitch chat here. Amic, this is the exact same workflow. I've just made a couple like grouping changes and the way stuff is organized, but everything else is exactly the same. So you can do everything I'm doing right now with the workflow that you can download from the Civit site. I'm going to be uploading the updated version as like a V2. I'm going to take a look and see if there's anything else I want to tweak before I go ahead and do that. And also put together a better list of all the stuff that people will want to download so that they run into less issues when trying to get this running. Because I know that there are a lot of custom nodes and stuff in here that people really, some people had a difficult time getting, especially if you're like a first timer. Animate diff is a new thing to me. Still stuck on image to image, even in painting. Well, Wave Mars, welcome. This stuff is addicting, and sometimes it takes a very long time and a lot of testing to actually get to a result that you're happy with. And it's the same way with the images, but it especially goes for videos. Damn, why is my Discord now only showing me to me? Not showing me all you guys. All right. Boom.
Hey, I got a question.
Yeah. Yeah, shoot.
Because it looks like you know what you're doing.
Well,
my-
I appear that way, but I'll try to help.
I'm basically trying to basically create an image to image, like a batch image to image workflow that they have on Ottawa 11, but I want to do that on Comfy, but I can't figure out a way to do batch image, like a batch image workflow.
You mean just so you can generate more than one image at a time?
So basically, yeah. So I want to basically take like 100 images, run them through a prompt within 100 different prompts, and then using different like a secondary image as a control net. Right. So there's like a batch image to image, and then there's also the batch like load prompt from text file. Right. So that each image would also be a subsequent prompt.
Got it. I would have I would have to I would have to see your screen. However, admittedly, my experience with Comfy and with putting stuff together really only extends into the video side of things. If I generate images, I still use automatic.
Yeah, okay.
So I do have a image to image workflow tucked away that I'm able to just change the batch number, but it doesn't have any of the control net stuff in it that you were just talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I know how to do the control net stuff. It's just, I mean, it's mainly right now the batch prompt from text file. I can't figure that out. And like if a node doesn't exist, how do you make the node? Like, where do you get it from?
So do you have the Comfy UI manager installed?
Yeah.
Well, everything that I have in here came from when you go to install custom nodes, this crazy list of things you can install.
Okay, and how do you make
those? So now you're punching way above my weight class because I am definitely not a node maker or a coder. I just do the creative side of things, but
yeah.
People are making their custom nodes. I'm pretty sure there's a YouTube tutorial that I saw about how to create your own custom Comfy node. And almost all the Comfy nodes that people create end up on GitHub, and then they end up in the Comfy manager.
Okay.
So this whole list, I believe, is mostly community created.
I mean, it seems that way because it is kind of disorganized in a sense. It's like when you try to find one thing, it's like it's never named the same as like what it would be on auto, right?
Yeah.
So I find that where I'm like, oh, I'll just do an image to image. I'm like, okay, how do I batch this? And you have like 4 different types of batching stuff. But then it's like, oh, this is all for video. And it's like, but there's no image batch, and it's not named.
I mean, and that's where this stuff eats up the hours because you're going to have to test a whole lot unless you happen to find someone with a workflow that does exactly what you need it to do and they share it with you.
Right, okay. Do you know how to change like inside of a node, some of the nodes that I have is using batch size, but I want batch count because batch size technically loads it all into VRAM, whereas batch count iterates through it. So I'm not sure. Well, I mean, at least it does it on auto. Now I don't know if it does that on Comfy because I haven't tested a big batch yet. But I want to run like 800 image batch overnight, and I can't do that if it's a batch size.
Is anyone else in here more well versed in Comfy image generation that can answer his question?
Quantum, so do you want to generate, let's say, 500 images with the same prompt?
Potentially, yeah, same prompt, but also different prompt too, but basically the same, sure.
Right. So if you extend your Comfy like the main window, like the where you hit Q, if you hit extras, there's an auto queue up there. You can also enter your number there, and it will do all of those and then stop.
Oh, the queue size. Okay, so
yeah.
The worst part of the UI. They hide it in the extra options tick box.
Yeah, but it's there.
It is there.
Yeah, Quantum. Also, I gave you a link in Office Hours chat to GitHub that has tons and tons of workflows There'll
Awesome.
definitely be something in there for you both.
Okay, so that solves the batch count for sure. Okay, cool.
There you go.
And that is a terrible place for it.
That
But we're playing the hand we're dealt here.
Hey man, with how fast this stuff moves, you can only expect so much from open source, but I think that everything we've gotten up to this point and the time frame we've gotten it in and that we continue to get it in is absolutely insane.
Oh, for sure. I mean, like it's just changing so fast. It's just trying to keep up, really.
Guys, look at it. Look at it. That looks pretty awesome.
That is definitely dope.
So this is the Hello Young 25D model, which if you are using Animate Diff and you do not keep this model in your rotation, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing because
Yeah, that looks sweet.
Yeah, but you
This-
don't know what you're doing.
I don't, but they gave me the microphone. So the Hello Young 25D model is insane and it holds up really well. Look at that and look at what we're feeding it.
What is that? I still can't make sense out of it. Probably
This-
because it's so small on the screen, but to me what
Thi-
it looks like, no, not that, like the actual generation itself.
Oh,
It looks
I'm
like-
sorry. Here. Yeah, no, we prompted for ramen and eggs and sriracha.
Oh, now it's looking like that. You know what it was looking like to me? The beating heart, like the alveoli. If you guys ever saw that on the screen, beating blood when it's moving the oxygen from one chamber to another, that's exactly what it looks like.
And mainlyhigh.com, this is the black and white. But wait, there is a question in the Twitch chat that I actually want to rewind and step back to because up until the past 2 months, all I did for the past almost a year now was warp and warp fusion. Literally all I did. So doctors hate this guy. W name, by the way. Asked me, as someone with experience in warp, has this completely replaced warp? What I would say to that is different use cases for different scenarios. Warp is really great at what it does. Animate Diff is really great at what it does. Depending on, let's say if you were doing this in like a professional type of environment and that's really your aspiration, what the great thing about where this is and where warp is at the moment is you now have different tools to get whatever the job is finished or to get to whatever like outcome you want for just whatever it is you're creating for yourself finished. So one of my favorite things I've ever created is something that I made in the very first version of Warp SDXL. Like very first thing. And I'm actually, because some of you guys are new here, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I want to show you guys this because this video to me is like my favorite thing I've ever made. And some of you guys have seen this already and you're familiar with it, but this, wait, that's the un-AI'd version. Sorry. Exports. Boom. Boom. So that is what I would call leaning into the jank of SDXL when it comes to warp. And yeah, you see the final. You see how many different versions there are here. Final 4. if you want to actually finish a video, don't name it final. It's the running joke. But full disclosure, I didn't film that video. I didn't do the original edit. The creator on Instagram, their name is Polonami, and her boyfriend, whose name I can't pronounce, is a really talented videographer. They're from New York. I saw that video and I thought I could do something really cool with it. That's what I did. And I think so like I would use Stable Diffusion XL in Warp Fusion specifically, if I had a very fast-paced video that was like boom, 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 with a lot of cuts and a lot of like just chaoticness, because the flickeriness that still happens in SDXL warp videos, it would lend really well to that editing style.
Like funk editing.
Exactly, like funk editing. Okay, so we got this ramen cooked here. Let's say delicious bowls of ramen, egg, sushi, sriracha. Let's change paces here. Someone said something about a beating heart. So let's say beating heart on operating table hooked up to respirator, gasping for air. Let's just try it. And let's see what we get here. And custom, you are have a I don't know if I can put beating elves on stream. No, custom, you're right, man. That rotoscope, for that particular video, I rotoed her in every single scene of that video because I was unsure if at the end of the whole thing I was going to want to keep whatever AI generated background there was, or if I just wanted her to be the thing. So to have that option, you gotta rotoscope it all yourself. All right, so
Hey, Tyler, I completed your task. I animated an AI Overlord Santa.
oh my
It's
god,
in the Office Hours chat.
drop it. Is it? I'm guessing it's sending
In
right
there.
now.
It's already in there.
Oh, where? Oh, dope. Is this? Wait, is this with stable video?
Yes, SVD.
Nice. Okay, can we just take a moment and realize how insane this past week has been with everything that has gotten released? It's insane. It's almost overwhelming to even try to keep up with. It's
I wouldn't
like
say almost. It
yeah,
is.
It is. But this just goes to show you, this is why it's super important to have a community like this one, because then everyone's kind of looking at all these different little things that they're interested in, and people are finding different ways to use it. And if everyone's sharing it, then it's all good, and you don't got to know about everything that's happening at every time, everywhere. You know? So I think when it comes to this stuff, like, because of the sheer amount of technical knowledge that I know I can like freely admit I don't have, I'm more on the creative side of things. You know, it's important that everyone kind of works together to figure all this stuff out, because it's literally how these things advance.
Absolutely. It's the only way I know anything.
Exactly, dude. Without any of the people I've met over the course of the last 7 months, I wouldn't be sitting here showing you guys these awesome bowls of ramen.
Hey, I got a question about your upscaling. What do you do for that?
Okay.
I'm assuming you're running a pretty decent GPU right now.
So the machine that this is currently on is a 4090.
Okay, so like the best.
Yeah. So disclaimer. I mean, I have a 4090 machine and a 3090 machine. I only do animate diff on the 4090 machine.
Yeah, because I'm running a 12 gig 3060, and I can render higher than 720, but it gets exponential. And then one of the issues I was trying to render a 366 frame video. It rendered basically it couldn't render the 720. Because it just like completely froze, locked up. I mean, the computer's still active, but like Comfy, it just completely died down. I had like zero compute going. So do you have some sort of workaround for basically when the like is there a way you can like cut the video into multiple snippets and then parse it later, or am I just basically screwed by my
No, dude. There's always a way to make it work, as long as you understand that because of the limitations of the GPU you have, there's gonna be a small time trade-off no matter what the answer is. So, with that being said, if I were you, I would either like you said, I would take everything into Premiere first. And here, let me actually show you this file so you can see what I did here for this video. This was only a 15-second long video. I think by the time I was done with it, it was, yeah, 14 seconds. You can see the bottom layer here. This is the original video without the AI, and I literally cut it up into 13 individual clips, and I ran each one of them separately as their own generation while using the same prompt and similar settings. But for a lot of these videos too, if you're trying to make something cool that's a little bit longer, and also if you're dealing with GPU constraints, running them separately, especially if there's different scenes, I think will actually help you maintain more coherency, because then less stuff will get lost in translation when there's like a transition in the video. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't. In this scenario, there isn't a transition, so my issue with splitting up the video is being able to splice it afterwards seamlessly. I don't know
Gotcha.
if it's
So
even possible. It probably isn't perfectly possible, but I mean, what I was imagining is if you had like whatever, say 100 frames, you do the first 50, the second 50, and then you would do an overlap 50 from like what 70, from like 25 to 75, right? So then you'd kind of have a blend there, but I don't know. It wouldn't look seamless, but. And then you can obviously scale those numbers up, right? So if you have 1,000-frame video, that's like one continuous shot that you want to look quote unquote seamless. I mean, you would break it up and then.
So you got some people, Quantum, that are trying to help you out in the office hours chat and Discord as well. You definitely want to run it in lower res. You absolutely do. Even on the 4090, I don't run any of my first passes bigger than 512.
512 by 512, or
well, because I make everything I make is social media centric, so 9:16, right. So 512 by 896.
Right. Okay.
And then in the upscaler, since you asked, what happens down here if we were to turn these on, and I'll turn it on so you can see it easier. So it runs through another process of denoising. And I typically have this set at another 30 steps, a CFG of 7, and a denoise of 0.7, whereas up here it's denoising at 10 with it's denoising at 1 with a CFG of 10. In this upscaler process, which you don't have to turn on, but this workflow is made for this, there is a second grouping of control nets that you can have the upscaled video run through, so that you can maintain more of the coherency in the upscaled version, since it is denoising it again, and it's not just increasing the pixels.
I mean, I have basically a similar workflow where I have a full loop at low res, and then it goes through a secondary denoiser, and then that further upscales it past that. But that was where it got stuck, right? So my question is, if like, because if you take the individual frames of the low scale, right, you can like just like Lanso's upscale that, but then it's going to be a bit fuzzy. Obviously, it's not going to have detail. It's going to have the resolution, but not detail. Now you can go, image to image at a low denoising and add in detail, but then you're going to have flickering because there's going to be those minute changes. So like ideally you'd run it through animate diff all as one thing, but like that's kind of the issue, right? Is it's too big and it can't chunk it.
Yeah, and which I unfortunately, and I understand it's kind of a privileged place for me to be able to say it from. I haven't had to figure out those lower resolution workflows because of my system. So I do know that there are people in the chat that do have lower res graphic cards, and there are a lot of people in the community that do really cool stuff with system limitations. So I think it's just a matter of asking, and I
Yeah, I
think
mean, they got some good ideas in there.
yeah, for sure. Which is why it's good that you asked in the first place. So it looks like the Hello Young model didn't want to give us an actual beating heart and instead wanted to give us some people in love with gas mask on. So we're going to try with epic realism and see if the heart can come out. Let's see here. Let's see. Daz, am I missing anything important in the Twitch chat?
Not really.
Okay. Cool. Well, we're gonna try this last one. Overall, though, I think you guys can see if like we're able to get this kind of stuff out of an input that looks like this. So I went with the black and white. That way the depth control net could grab onto it a little bit more. And we're also using the control GIF control net to improve the stability because apparently this new control net for Animate Diff was trained on videos. I don't particularly know what that means, but this is like, I think if we watch this and it was to the music and as the guy's pressing the buttons, it changes, it's going to look really good. But yeah, also I've noticed some people saying about like the frame limit in Animate Diff. I've never ran into an issue running a large amount of frames. I think I had to do like I had to limit it to 2000 frames because I did like a 5600 frame music visualizer. And just I was getting some error and I had to limit it down to 2000, I think, because of like the characters in the batch prompt schedule or something like that. But what Jeru said, Jeru, for those of you that don't know, on Instagram, this man is Pixel Pusher. What he says goes. Everything this guy makes is amazing. If you're not following him, you totally should be. pxl.pshr. His Instagram is wild. So whatever advice he gives in the chat, definitely take his advice to heart. He helped me. There was a part of this he helped me put together too. I forget which part, but he was involved in this turning into what it was. So shout out to Jeru the Pixel Pusher. And then just to call out, because I don't think I called it out earlier, the Animate Diff node group, I tend to leave a lot of this stuff the same. My favorite model for Animate Diff has been Temporal Diff. So I tend not to go away from that. I find it maintains really good consistency in the backgrounds and gives me really creative outputs. And okay, Epic Realism still, it wants to give us hearts around the people. That's still kind of cool, right? We could make like our own little like K-drama on this guy's screen while he's playing the music. Maybe this is what I do, and I post that to Instagram and I tag him, and it just turns into like a K-drama, J-pop type thing while he's using the modulator buttons. I bet if his audience saw it, they would be so confused. All right, well, we're at the top of the hour here, guys. I think I actually covered a lot as far as the workflow goes. I'm going to try to get V2 of the workflow uploaded sometime in the next, like, 4 or 5 days. Anyone have any closing out questions or anything before we go ahead and call it a day?
Oh yeah, I forgot. Just wrapping back to the beginning, the black and white version would be the right choice, right?
Yes. The black and white version is the right choice because with how much is going on the screen, with black and white, you give yourself the ability to use the depth control net and the QR monster control net. and then when you combine like one of those with that new control GIF control net, this is crazy. Look at this. And also, like, we're not really looking at what's we don't really care about what's happening outside of the square, because at the end of the whole thing, we would take that and mask it back in on the actual video. So everything around the screen would be real, and only the screen would be the anime diff. How do you install the control GIF control net? You download it, and then you place that control net into your control net folder in your main Comfy UI directory. And then when you refresh your Comfy UI, it's going to be called controlnet_checkpoint, or at least the one I downloaded, that's what it's called. And you just select that. You turn off the preprocessor for whatever box it's connected to, and then you just run it. I have found really great success running it all the way up to an N percentage of 1, but at a strength of 0.2. And this should work with I don't know if that control net works with SDXL. I haven't done SDXL too much in Animate Diff for vid to vid, just because the generations with 1.5 are too smooth, and it's easier for me to get to a really great result. But I do plan on doing more SDXL. We'll test. We'll get back to you maybe on next week's stream, and that'll be my homework between now and next week. Anyone else? Any other questions before we sign off here until next Thursday? Which, FYI, over the weekend, Ali, who does the other office hours, I say Ali, I always say Ali and myself, we might do some random weekend warrior streams if we're working on interesting stuff over the weekend, and just hop on here, stream, and just be live and be here to talk to you guys while we're working through everything. More EU-friendly times.
Yes, please.
We will discuss and we will figure it out, because our audience has very quickly grown with this whole thing. So maybe we'll make some adjustments there to accommodate for all of you guys that are supporting us, which, again, I really appreciate everyone hanging out, coming to the stream, watching this stuff. More so just being a part of the community and everything that we're doing at Civitai. In case you guys don't know, we just started our Get Lit and Give Back Christmas contest today. Log into the website, get assigned a team. It's going on from today all the way till the end of December. If you post on the website 5 days, 15 days, or 25 days throughout the month, you're going to get custom badges that will only be available during the duration of this contest. So if you want those badges for your profile, you got to hit those milestones, 5, 15, 25. It's not 25 images in one day, guys. It's posting something for 25 days. So don't try to get us on a technicality there. But yeah, contests info and all that good stuff is in the link in our Civitai Linktree bio on Instagram. I think there should be a pop-up on the website by this point. If you guys have any buzz, you want to purchase more buzz, you want to donate that to the Spirit Bank to help your team win, Civitai is going to be matching the dollar amount of the purchased buzz for the JDRF, which is a Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. So we're also trying to end this month with a bang and give back to a good cause for this whole thing. So yeah, man. Thank you guys so much for coming, for joining us. I'm pretty happy with this K-drama looking thing we got going on, and maybe I just run with this. I haven't done like a really dope realism thing in a while. I usually like my 90s retro anime and whatnot, but yeah, Appreciate you guys as always. We are on Instagram at Hello Civitai. You can find me personally at jboogs with an X, JBOOGX.creative to see more of what I do. And I think that's it. Thank you all for coming.
Thanks a lot, Tyler. Thanks everybody for coming.
Team AI Overlord Santas. I know you hear me, Allie. Later, guys.
See ya, everybody.